What's up, y'all? You know what time it is? It's about to be that time.
Savage.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're live. Welcome to another edition.
Looks like stream's moving again. Got me off that freeze where I had like 5 chins on me. And I can hear you now. So I think we're good.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to see if YouTube catches up.
Yeah, chat's flowing now.
Okay. All right, there we go. Let's try this again.
What's up, y'all? You know what time it is? It's about to be that time.
Savage.
Okay, so welcome to the first Theory for Theory of 2023. The last time we did one of these was in December. It was with King of Lightning. Then we had the Reverie. And unfortunately, my boy and our guest today, I'm D King, Zack, was unable to attend. My man was out in homeland. He was out in Puerto Rico. Yeah, man. Let's see. This is the first collab on the channel for the two of us. But it is we've done many collabs together.
Yes, sir.
Including my very first collab, which was on your channel.
Yes, sir. Which makes this actually a hilarious start, because I was gonna come out here and be like, Randy, you've come so far. Remember our first collab? You didn't even know how to work OBS. Now you've just hosted the Reverie that went on for like the longest period of time, and then we just ran into technical difficulties for the first 20 minutes. But hey, we made it, man. I'm super happy for you with the Reverie. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it. I was out in Puerto Rico, as you said. But yeah, I was just really happy that you got that opportunity, and excited to catch up on some topics that I missed during the Reverie, including some kid disrespect, as somebody pointed out earlier, that we need to discuss.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean that I did see that in the comments, and we got a little bit of laugh out of that. They were like, we got to make sure we get the the kid disrespect. Shanks really pulled up, like,
I don't even know who you are.
He had the whole Thanos, I don't even know who you are. Kid was like, you took everything from me. I don't even know who you are.
Oh, man.
Definitely get into all of that. How was Puerto Rico, man?
Puerto Rico was nice. My girlfriend's sister and brother-in-law lives out there, and he's got family down there as well. So it was less of a expensive vacation and more of a laid back type of trip. Got to obviously see some stuff like Old San Juan and
you went to the castles and everything?
stuff. Yep, got a nice tour and everything, but it was much more chill. Got to just walk around, hang out with them, see them for the first time in a while. It was a nice little vacation.
It's cool, man. I love that. So one thing I do, with these Theory for Theories first is, I want the chat to get your origin story. Who is I'm D King, and how did he get started with One Piece?
You're not Shanksing me, right? Like, who are you? Like, you're not.
Not right.
All right, the origin story. So yeah, it's been how long now since I started this channel? I think over 2 years, coming up on 3 in April. So I started the channel, April, about 2.5 years ago, and it was in the middle of COVID, which is the time a lot of people started popping up, I think. But yeah, I went to school for TV production. That was like what I've always been into is the video, and video creation has always been my passion. And then in the middle of COVID, as I'm finishing my degree, you can't do anything. I literally had TV production classes where we were supposed to be in the studio making shows, and COVID happens. You literally can't. That got turned into, all right, we're gonna go through the textbook and learn all these terms, which is like, that's just not what you're supposed to be doing. And then I had internships, all that kind of stuff. Everything just kind of shut down. I was like, you know what, might as well just do something. I started rewatching One Piece with my girlfriend Tina at the time. And then every time you rewatch One Piece, you kind of just start to feel that passion back again. You start to always notice all those little things again, So started jumping back into One Piece YouTube. I'd always watched Tekking when I caught up to One Piece. I had watched a lot of his videos. But then once I started rewatching again, I got back into Tekking videos, and I started just falling down this rabbit hole. And I started finding some of the newer creators like Braga and BA Law's channel, Morge's channel. And I was like, you know what? Like at that time, the raid on Onigashima was just starting. I was like, I'm literally staying at home. School is just like turned from super fun practical things where we're working with like $100,000 like cameras and shoots and stuff to literally just go through the textbooks. Like I just gotta create and just talk about something. So that's how I started the channel, and then it just started gaining some steam and more, and now it's grown to over 100,000 subscribers.
Congratulations, man!
Pretty crazy thing.
I want to see everybody in the chat dropping some W's for I'm D King reaching 100K. Where are those W's at? Let's get that flooded, guys. I love that, and it's also because the origin story is similar in one respect. Like I, wanted to come back into the community heavy and start doing YouTube because I was watching, I was rewatching it too. I was watching it with Chrissy. Chrissy was, getting into it for the first time, and yeah. So I love that, man. I'm sorry that COVID impacted all the
that was rough. That was a pretty scary time finishing my degree, and everything's just like, nah, we're done here.
Yeah, I was working on a pilot.
Oh wow!
And we were on set, and everything was kind of shutting down, and I had been keeping up with it a little bit, like over what it was doing overseas, and I was just like, everybody's like, all right, see you in 2 weeks, see you in 3 weeks, and I'm like. Yeah, no, this is 1918 all over again. I'll see you guys in 2023.
Oh man.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember like when we first collabed on my channel, we had talked about like we had that almost the same exact like come back to YouTube because we were in a pretty similar situation, not only in regards to our work, but also just like both, like you were catching up with Chrissy, I was rewatching with Tina. Like it was pretty wild.
Yeah, dude, I love that. Sorry, I was like looking at the chat and it seemed I thought there was something wrong with the stream, but we're good. Yeah, man. So what are your, I mean, we haven't talked in a while. Well, I mean, October. We saw each other at Comic-Con and everything, and that was fun. But other than that, since then, we're pretty heavy into Egghead now. Things are moving. What are your general thoughts right now?
Egghead has been a really good time. It's felt refreshing, I think. So many things has happened, like the pacing of this arc just doesn't even feel like that Oda is writing it. Like it's like the beginning of this arc technically started with like Sabo getting blown up, and that's like an afterthought that nobody even cares about anymore, just because like every chapter like we're either getting like, here's GARP and Blackbeard, Law and Blackbeard, Kizaru showing up, Gorosei's here. Meanwhile, all of a sudden we have a traitor plot that's developing, right? Vivi. It's like every chapter something is happening. And yeah, it's just been really fun. I love seeing the Straw Hat interactions. That's something I've always said. Like, I just want to they're the main core, the main cast. Biggest reason why I got into the story, and yeah, it's just like a breath of fresh air seeing this, getting this new arc with the Straw Hats all together, and also it just really like this is the arc where it really feels like the final saga is here. Like all the little lore dumps and stuff that we're learning about. It's like, wow, I can't believe we're actually even starting to discuss this stuff. And yeah, and it's just like, it's been a really good time, especially because the end of Wano was kind of like a rough ride, in my opinion. That's been kind of, maybe we'll even talk about it a little bit because of the new SBS information that just came out. Kind of like
definitely want to tackle the SBS.
Yeah, kind of like close the chapter in Wano, kind of like revisited that a little bit. But Egghead in general has been an absolute blast.
Yeah, and the point that you made about how it really feels like the final saga is also really inside just the way Oda is giving us all these, last 2 to 3 pages, 1 page of a chapter, like going outside of Egghead. He's bringing all of the pieces forward. Like, this is all stuff that he would have an arc and then give us like 4 or 5 chapters to kind of like bring all of that together. But he's like, yeah, I don't have all of these arcs anymore, so I'm just gonna put them at the end of these chapters. And that's a lot of fun, man. That's a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm enjoying Egghead a lot for all of the same reasons. We're focusing on the crew again, finally. I mean, we are splitting everybody up right now, but I mean, it's not split up to the point where we're focusing on tag-alongs like the Scabbards or anything like that. Like we are able to cut away to our Straw Hats. We're putting the focus back where it needs to be. So I'm enjoying it. I'm a sci-fi head, so I'm loving all of the little references. But yeah, I definitely want to get into I think Elbaf predictions and all that stuff. But since you brought up the SBS, and that's like definitely the hot topic, and even one of the reasons why I thought I was going to hit you up for a collab anyway, because you didn't, you weren't there at the Reverie. But the timing is kind of funny because it's like in our first collab, my very first collab. Yeah. We spent a lot of time talking about the Tama theory.
Yeah, exactly. I remember. We had TTK was on fire back then. Like we.
Oh yeah, the TTK boys. Yeah, some of those TTK boys are.
I feel like that might have been the stream where it originated from. I feel like that might have been the stream where it started it all.
well, you came out and you were just like, I mean, this seems like a meme, but do you actually believe this is possible? And I was just like, I'm very open to the idea of it, of Tama taming Kaido. But it was just, I knew she was going to be a problem. I knew she was going to be a menace, and the Kurozumi connection. I just needed it actually in the story, in the canon. We're not getting that. Maybe if Oda decides he wants to go to, back to Wano, we could get a scene where some of the townspeople have learned her lineage and they're kind of like chasing her out. And then we have a moment where Momo kind of like rescues her, and then has, there's a bunch of people around, and it's just like, no, we're done with this. Like the cycle of hatred ends. Like that's the scene I needed. I needed something like that just to kind of cap all of that, because it's like, okay, yes, there was this like really crazy event where the Kozuki and all of the clans were killing the Kurozumi. And from that was that's the birth of Orochi. That was the downfall of everybody. If they didn't go after exactly. If they didn't do that, then none of this would have happened with Wano. So it's like kind of addressing that. It's like, I see a lot of people complain, oh, we don't need that because Orochi was so bad, and it was actually what he did was worse than what they did to him. And it's like, that's not a good enough excuse. So yeah, we're finally done with Orochi, we're done with Kanjuro and all of that. But we do need to kind of circle back here. I always wanted the Sukiyaki connection there. That ended up, being true as well. But now if we double down and we know that Sukiyaki was protecting Tama because he already knew she was Kurozumi, then that is sort of a way of you know, breaking that cycle, ending that hatred. It's like, okay, my family caused all of this destruction, you know, directly, indirectly, tangentially, either way, we're part of this. This is somebody that could become another Orochi. Let me prevent that. Let me raise this girl, this orphan. And if we learned that, that would make Sukiyaki a way more sympathetic character, especially with the way, like, he didn't even want to get himself involved with Momonosuke, and then the next chapter he's like, oh, hi, I'm your grandpa. So, you know, if we did something like that, I would feel fulfilled from that perspective.
Yeah, I'm really glad to get your perspective here, because I was really curious, because I felt like when I saw that, I was like, Randy might feel conflicted here, right? Because, like, on one hand, it's a massive W. You've been pushing that theory for so long, right? So I'm sure already people were spamming you with W's right as soon as the news dropped. But
when
to
it was
me,
flooded.
Yeah. I'm sure the W's were coming in left, right, and center, all right? And rightfully so, because you've been on that since
Randy,
our last collab,
yeah.
which was over 2 years ago. I'm sure you even talked about that theory even earlier. But on the other hand, that Tama reveal to me was way worse than, like, the Zoro stuff. The Zoro stuff, like, we could talk about that a little bit, but like you had such a good concept, which was why I loved that theory from the beginning when you introduced it. To not actually explore that in the story, I feel like was such a miss, especially after, to me, like, one of the biggest issues that left unresolved. It was just like, to me, it wasn't like the big discussion, I feel like, kind of got carried away because everybody was talking about the Hiyori scene. It's like, oh, she's only talking about Orochi. No, she's actually talking about all the Korazumi, and she's actually like Hitler, right? So it's like people are like getting so caught up in that back and forth, and the whole time I was like, guys, like, it doesn't matter if it's Orochi or all the Korazumi. The problem is, like, that was like the plot. Like, Odin's character, Kanjo's character, Orochi's character was all like based off of this hatred of, like, you guys did this to the Korazumis first. That led to this 20 years of horrible vengeance. We left that plot line unresolved when we left Wano, no matter what Hiyori meant and said by her words. And then, you know, some people try to say, like, hey, like, it's realistic to portray it. But, like, even if you're going that angle, you got to be able to, like, show us that. Show us, like, people saying, like, oh, I don't, like, you had such a good plot device there with Tama. Even if you wanted to show, like, some people are not going to accept her because they just went through 20 years of torture, right? Show us that struggle. Like, show us that back and forth and them going through that. I feel like that was such a big missed opportunity. And, like, part of me, like, feels like, yeah, like, it was such a good concept, but, like, why did you put it into SBS? Like, it was almost like it's such a good concept, but the fact that you left it off makes it, like, worse in a way.
And it's even...
I was gonna say, of course, you mentioned we could, like, go back eventually, but I just feel like narratively it's not gonna hit the same because that was the arc that we spent so much time on it, right? And I feel like if we go back to it, there's a chance it could just get kind of pushed in there.
It's just gonna seem like, you know, oh yeah, I didn't have Marco and Luffy have a conversation. Let me cut back and show what happened.
Yeah.
And it's like, but Oda even puts at the end of the SBS, he's just like,
think about that, like,
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. like I understand that this, like there is, you know, that this really could have been like a political statement and could have had some depth to it. Yeah, think about that. No, show me that.
Exactly. That's what I kept saying.
You laid all the seeds. You had Tama and Momonosuke, like, paired up this entire, you know, the first two acts, which is why I still think Yamato was an afterthought, something that was created and fabricated, like, during the making of Onigashima, because, like, all of the setup was there. Like, if Oda did want to go the Orochi was Tama's, like, dad route, then you would have already had the character that is related to someone that killed Odin, right? So everything, like, the Tama theory is 3 years old on Reddit and whatever, and 2 years old in video form, but the theory predated Yamato as a character. So I was like, we need a character in this arc that gives a personal stake for Momonosuke. So Oda created Yamato. So this is Kaido's child. And it's like, okay. But even still, you still have this Kurozumi thing to address. Like
Exactly.
it's just it's all it was all there. I don't know, 2 or 3 panels, and
I felt like he had just all the right pieces, because like the Kandro backstory, like it felt like he was such a good villain. Orochi too, like the anger that he felt, and like all like Tama being a Kurozumi, such a great, like really great writing to have her as a character in that way, and her interactions with like Momonosuke. It felt like it was all right there, and then he was like, you know what, guys, like Act 3's got to be 100 chapters. We got to go.
Exactly. And you know, from that perspective, our boy fumbled the bag.
Yeah.
I just 100 chapters,
tough,
man. Like that's, you know, and it's like that's why Lobetown was so compressed, because he wanted them to get to the grand line at chapter 100.
True.
And then came out later and was like, yeah, I actually had ideas for Daddy Masterson, and you know, the scene in the bar and everything, and it just like he just gave it to the anime to flesh out. That's not how you make a story.
Exactly.
It's like it's awesome that we have the SBSs, we have the Beaver cards, we have all of this like external stuff to like flesh out the world, but there are some things that should be within the canon. And I think that there is still opportunity for an exploration of this Zoro stuff. You know, whereas like we're removed from Wano. We don't necessarily have to go back. Pluton is there, so I mean, you know, that could pull us back there. But like Zoro will be with us. We can explore this with or without Wano. But then, you know, it's like if now making Ryuma a distant relative of Zoro, technically Shusui is kind of his birthright then. Like, he should have that sword. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a situation where we do go back to Wano because of Pluton. And that's where Oda addresses all of this. And, like, maybe Enma breaks, or, you know, and then he has to go get Shusui. You know, there's a lot. I thought we were going to explore old Wano.
I was like, the ending there was just like bang, 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 gone.
Right. And then I think about some of the other things that happened in Wano, and I was like, why did we
start to think about the raid, and you're like, why did we get so much of Yamato? Like,
yeah. Nah. And I'm not gonna get into all of that, because I've talked about that ad nauseum and everything.
That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah. But what's your take on all this Zoro backstory stuff? Like,
so yeah, the Zoro backstory, I feel like a lot of people really attach to that a lot more, whereas my first reaction was the Tama stuff. The Zoro stuff I don't feel as strongly about. I feel like in particular with his parents, I never really backed any theories of like Ushimaru or Green Bull or anything like that. I was just like Zoro, like he's just Zoro. He's never mentioned his parents. He's got the Roanoa name, so it would feel weird if all of a sudden he's like a secret Shimotsuki and that becomes his name. So Zoro's parents in particular, I have no problem with them being revealed. Like, they're not really important. They're both dead already as well, so like it's not like that big of a deal. I do think the Shimotsuki connection, the fact that he is a direct lineage of Ryuma, that is probably something you should have at least snuck into the arc after you had like a mini subplot with Zoro and Ryuma wanting to visit Ryuma's grave, and then Ushimaru popping up and looking like Zoro in his 50s, and then them saying Ryuma was also a one-eyed swordsman. If you're gonna tease all of these things, you should probably, it's not as big of a deal as the Tama thing, because the Tama thing was like connected to like the struggle and like identity of multiple characters and literally like the country as a whole. But like that I do feel like that is one thing you probably should have like kept in Wano, revealed that, but that's really the only part that I feel like that connected about.
And I think there were ways to do it, you know.
He was brave, like there was
not even that. We could have actually used was it Onimar the fox?
True.
like the fox was, that was the fox's name, right?
Yeah, Onimaru
Yeah.
was Ushimaru's companion.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, like, it could have smelled the bloodline or something, and then you could have just had someone else be like, that fox only ever attaches itself to someone from the Shimotsuki clan, you know? And then it's just, he finds, you know, some historical area that like kind of goes through the line and something, and it's just like, oh, I don't know. I feel there's definitely there were ways for it to have happened, but you know, what I need now is like a little powwow between Sanji, Usopp, and Zoro to all just kind of address that all of their mothers died of illnesses.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, and then, but it's also like, from a character standpoint, you know, and, you know, I brought this up and some people were like, well, it doesn't really matter with Zoro's character. I'm like, there's still something to be had there. Like, how long did he know his parents? When did they die? How long was he an orphan? Was he raised by Koshiro? Was Kuina less of a cousin and more of a sister? Did he know that his dad was killed by pirates? Is that why he became a pirate hunter? Is, you know, like there's so many things that are put there. There's a lot of potential to like kind of like get a dramatic backstory out of this. Like, you have the pieces. You have the pieces to put tears in people's eyes and really expand upon this, because all we have really is like 2 pages. Oh man, his friend fell down the stairs.
Yeah, especially in the manga. Like, at least the anime like gave us a good. The manga is literally like, it's like 2 pages and it's like you're right past it. Blink and you'll miss it.
Yeah. So, but it's like, I just love it because it was like, you know, I did a stream for the SBS because I heard there was some spicy Zoro stuff in there. Obviously, everybody was flooding me for the Tama stuff. And I was just like, all right, let me get into all of this. And I had a bunch of, you know, Sanji stands coming into the stream, and they were just like, WWW, we got 2 flashbacks. My man got an SBS. And it was like the clowning and the trolling in the community is just, it's phenomenal.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Here we
It's
go
really,
again.
like, it's really like, if you're not like really within the community, you can never imagine like how strongly some people feel about these like agendas.
And then let's see. There's also some, you know, there was a lot of spicy talk about the chopper stuff.
True. Yeah, that was another one. I think I feel more strongly about that one too than the Zoro stuff, honestly.
I do too, because I feel like it goes a little bit against his dream. I think people are right about that. Like,
yeah,
for Chopper to not even have a moment of recognition about everything and kind of think like, I'm not ready for this right now.
exactly.
But I've got to come back and I've got to figure out a way to help these people. Like, that's what pre-time skip Chopper would have done. You know, but so to 45 now, 45-year-old Oda's just like, yeah, I kind of forgot Chopper wants to.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Everything.
Like, because even the people that were like, you know what, like Chopper, he's not built like this. He can't cure everything like Zoro said. I was like, I mean, like Oda said, I was like, then show us the struggle then. Show us he cares. At this point, it doesn't even feel like he cares. He just left. He's like,
first of all, how are you gonna say that one of your characters ain't built for this?
Yeah.
You built him to be built for this. This is the Pirate King's crew. Everybody's supposed to be built for this. Oh my.
Example I made was like, it's like, even if he has this brick wall that he's running into, it's like, to not show us that moment is crazy. Imagine when Zoro meets up with Mihawk at the beginning of the story and he just loses and we just cut away. We just never get that I'm never gonna lose him moment. Later when the SBS, Oda comes in, it's like, hey man, he can't beat everybody right now.
Yeah, but he made a promise to Luffy off screen that he's never gonna lose again. Yeah. His goal now is to never lose again. Don't tell me. Show me that.
Exactly.
Show me. Show me. Let's see.
Yeah, the SBS in general, I feel like was like a good representation in a way of like the ending Wano. One thing I tweeted out was like, you gotta remember the SBS is like, at the end of the day, it's a question corner. It's not just Oda dumping out like last bit of information. It's like questions fans are wondering and are asking. And the fact that there were this many major questions that Oda had to answer after Wano, I think goes to show like the closing of Wano was just rushed, and there's just like a lot of questions that were left unanswered.
I just saw Wheezy Bird said, really crazy how one arc made y'all think a series is horrible. Crazy.
No, we're not saying that. We're just gassing up Egghead.
First of all, One Piece is the
Look at
greatest story of all time. We are nitpicking because it is not the... It's just, you know, if someone is... You know, I mean, let's take it to ball. Like, if someone is, you know, putting 40 points up every game, and then they come out and they only do, like, they average 30.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to say, where was the 40? You know, we're not saying that he can't, like, that someone's coming out and putting up 10. Like, it's just 30 versus 40. So, there was actually a really cool super chat, from Zeus8546, which ties all this. He said, Zoro's dad is Zoro no Arashi. And if you go back to chapter 49, it is titled Arashi. Chapter 50 is the Mihawk fight. So, and it is the chapter where Mihawk is introduced. Could that mean that Mihawk was the pirate that killed Zoro's dad? And I love that, actually.
Yeah, that'd be a great way to tie it all together.
And then maybe to build off of that, before Mihawk cuts him down, he asks him what his name is. What if there was a scene where before he cut down Zoro's dad, did the same thing? So he knew the Roanoa name.
And yeah, that could be a great way to tie everything together. And like, and now you start to look at like all their interactions, the fact that he's training him and all that kind of stuff. For anybody that watches Vinland Saga, it's kind of like a Askeladd and Thorfinn type of situation almost in a little bit. Could be really interesting.
See, I always love when things
You loyal.
tie back together in some way. You know, like that's something that Oda is exceptional at. Going to chapter 49 right now. Let's see this. Yeah, chapter 49, Storm. Arashi means storm. That is, I don't know. I low key think that that's actually what Oda might be setting up there.
That would be
that's
hell of a call.
That's one of the best theories that I had. In the other stream, I had someone, they were named definitely Zack, I think. They said, you know, Sanji's mom, Sora.
Mm-hmm.
Zoro's mom, Terra. Earth and Sky.
Okay.
Luffy's mom, Umi. Sea.
Okay.
Monkey D. Umi. And I was like, nah, I mean, okay, we're thinking like Oda now. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. And then that obviously brought, you know, people talking about Emu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, let's see. My guy Brandon King, member for 15 months, said Randy got the dub. Happy 15 months. Appreciate you, Brandon. He was definitely on the Tama train. Let's see. Very motivated. My name is Roronoa Zoro. You killed my father. Prepare to die. See, the thing about it, though, is that by putting everything in an SBS, we don't know the relationship that Zoro had with his dad. Mm-hmm. And at this point, it's fair to say that Zoro wouldn't even care.
Yeah, right now, there's no indication that he really had an even connection with his father.
Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe we'll have to wait for SBS 106.
Oh man.
Yeah. So, what's your take on all of this Elbaf stuff? Shanks, Kid.
Oh shit! Here we go again.
First and foremost,
It's
I
about
was
to get
just
spicy.
like the satisfaction for the vocal minority that for somehow, I don't know what story that we're reading, thought Elbaf wasn't gonna happen. So that was celebration number one. It's like Elbaf, come on guys. All right.
Oh, it was always gonna happen.
It was always gonna happen. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm just incredibly excited for everything that's gonna be involved with it. Like, Shanks was always like a theory that he was gonna be in it, right? There was never like full-on confirmation, but like the connections were always there. Like, when else is Shanks gonna get involved? He has like the Norse mythology, like connections with the ship and everything. So it was always believed that Shanks was gonna be in there. But the fact that it's been confirmed that it's gonna be in there now is like gives things even more hype. But like the thing that honestly that made me the most excited was seeing Dory and Bragi again. Like that made me so happy just to see them.
I didn't even
Shanks
care
with,
about
like,
Shanks
yeah.
and Kid. I was like,
Yeah,
like,
right?
Dory and Bragi.
Oh my
Yep.
god.
Oh yeah.
Another one.
Like I was
That
saying,
was
we
hype.
were definitely getting Dory and Bragi, definitely getting Oimo and Kashi. There's no way to not have them here. But the time the Shanks is pretty cool. And
Yeah, the history there.
for me, like the line that had me thinking the whole time was really like the title of the chapter, Old Friends. So it was like, okay, Shanks and Dory and Bragi know each other. They believed each other to have died. So I had to kind of step back and be like, okay, well, when would they have met? It was Shanks when, he was a rookie pirate, everything like that. He stayed, and I started thinking about it, and I remembered, because I had recently gone back to Little Garden not too long ago, and Dory, like, kind of implies that when he's talking about, look at all the skulls around here, most people that come here, most people, usually, like, he's using these, these words. He's just like, they either die, they try to fight us, they get eaten by a dinosaur. And it's just like, why don't you just sail away and see if your luck, gets you where you want to go? Paraphrasing. And Luffy laughs and he's like, yeah, I think that's, that's probably what we'll do. Obviously, before we get into all of the Eternal Pose stuff. But it makes more sense if Roger went, because we already have the knowledge that we know that they went to Water 7, they went to Skypiea, they went to Jaya, so they're on the same track. When you get to Reverse Mountain, you choose, 7 paths or whatever it is. Sure. And Crocus himself says to the crew, it's just like, are you sure that you want to go down this one, the Whiskey Peak? And it was almost like he's like, hey, like, I've been down this road because I was the doctor of this ship that went there, and we had to deal with Dinosaur Island for, and the logboat is going to sit there for a year. Are you sure you want to go down this path?
Ooh.
And everything in that saga also is like meeting people that had dealt with Roger. So a lot of the early, parts of the arc, like you have Smoker, who was, inspired, in an opposite way, didn't become a pirate, became a Marine, right? First person that believes that Luffy actually could become the Pirate King, when he sees that smile. And Crocus, he has that line where he talks to Roger at the end. Dory and Bragi, like, feel compelled to help them, and Roger was going to die in a year, so there was no way that he was going to stay on Little Garden for a year. So he totally would have just sailed away and, let fate guide him onto the journey. You get to Drum, and there's some sort of a connection between Kureha and Roger, because she's like, oh, he D?
Knew his
Luffy?
name. Yeah, exactly. She was the first one that was like flexing all the lore.
Yeah, but it was actually Oda was peppering it. He was peppering it all the way to there. So that's the kind of interesting thing to me. So and I think that Oda will probably expand upon that a little later on, that we're really on a mirrored path with Roger, that we chose the same line, which means that, Lodestar is like something that we definitely have to go to, because Roger did go there, and that's somewhere that we know he went to that we haven't.
And nobody else has either. Like, that's a big deal. It's not like Laugh Tale where you need all 4 road poneglyphs. It's like, for some reason, nobody else has gotten there besides the Roger Pirates.
Yeah. So, and he went to Zoe, he went to Whole Cake Island, he went to Wano. There's so much here, but then it's also like, did Roger go to Egghead? Was Egghead a thing at the time? It certainly wouldn't have been to the extent of like what Vegapunk has it now. I'm kind of curious to know what Egghead would have been like 24 years ago. Because I feel like it's certain. I mean, his execution definitely like predates Mads. And then Elbaf, did Roger go there? Because that's going to be like the big thing. Are we going to get an eternal pose to Elbaf? Are we just going to end up on Elbaf? Because I kind of feel like Elbaf probably isn't on the particular path that they're on, but they have to go there no matter what. So it's like, how do we get there? So I really just like that connection. So I think maybe Shanks was inspired by the Giants in the same way that Usopp was. And like that's where it went. They thought that Shanks was dead because they sailed the Grand Line without knowing where they were going to go, without the log post being set. And then I mean, they were fighting to the death, so Shanks would have thought maybe at least one of them were dead.
Probably. I mean, yeah, like that's they were fighting for a long time there, especially Shanks. If Shanks met him as a kid, especially.
Yeah. Do you see Shanks? Do you think Oda's actually going to have Shanks fight Kid this time?
You like, as in we're gonna see the fight?
I mean, just in general. Like, is he gonna send his Grand Fleet at the dude? Is he gonna send his Benny Beck and Monster and Building Snake, or is Shanks gonna move? Is it time for
a direct clash? I feel like is still too early. I think at the very least, Kid's got to make it through that Grand Fleet, because if he doesn't make it through the Allies, it's game over for him. All right, Shanks doesn't need to get to him. The fan base will first. I was talking about this with Par a little bit last week. We both felt like for me, I talked about Use's Kid, and that the biggest disappointment for me with Use's Kid is not even so much his power, is more so the personality that he was set up to be in the very beginning. This ruthless guy that had a higher bounty than Luffy because he was slaughtering innocents. That's kind of gone. Like,
where is that? Where is he?
Wano, there were 2 particular moments in Wano that I was like, what's going on here, Kid? Like, it was never about Kid like not like showing out his power. It was number 1 when he, after Kaido decimated his crew, Killer got a Smile Devil Fruit, and then on Roof Piece, he's like, I'm going to Big Mom. I was like, all right, I just don't, like, that's 2 different types of characters. All right, the guy that was introduced to Bodhi wouldn't do that, right?
Exactly. And then he would have been like, I feel like if Kid was true to the character that Oda wrote this entire time, Kid would have never switched focus to Big Mom. No. It would have been Luffy and Kid butting heads the entire time, fighting each other to get the shot to fight Kaido.
Exactly. He gave up too easily on that. It just didn't feel like the same character. And then the second moment to kind of back that was the end of the arc where Apu's just chilling there and like reading the newspaper too. It's like, all right, you just needed a punk Gibson, and like that was enough for you to get your revenge, but you slaughtered all these innocent people for what? Like the guy that actually like betrayed you, you're gonna let go instead of just like now he kind of starts to look like a guy that just bullies people a little bit. Like
I like Kid to me right now. I said it in my last review. I was like, Kid is the inversion and the New World version of Haguma the bear. Like, my man is pulling up to Shanks on Elbaf with Haguma the bear energy. And, like, he's really about to flex and be like, I'm the 300 million berry man. Like, the 3 billion berry man. Sorry. I'm the 3 billion berry man now. Like, when your crew messed with me, I wasn't in the billies. Now I'm in the 3 billies. All right. I took down a Yonko, all of this. Like, he's about to start wrecking things in that bar. He's gonna, but then he, I don't know. Maybe he attacks that kid, and then that's.
True.
I feel like Oda already set up the chapter 1 parallel, so it's like, how far will he go with that? Is that kid going to be like a little Luffy that Kid goes after, and then Shanks has to step in to protect, or any giant or something like that? Like, I feel like for Shanks to move, Kid has to attack an innocent. He has to like live up to what Oda said he does, because otherwise Shanks is just going to be like, I don't care about this guy. I don't even know who you are.
I don't even know.
Yeah, like the idea we were talking about is like, at the very least, maybe he tears through all the allies and like just actually decimates them, and that's like his moment to at least bring back some of that viciousness. And then for the time being, he just skedaddles, maybe starts to messing up giants in the village or something. The main thing we were just trying to figure out is like, what is Kid's role in this arc? Because like, if Luffy and Shanks are involved, it's gonna be hard to take screen time from those two guys away, right? So like, how is Kid possibly gonna be able to sneak in here and even really be that relevant, and for people that really buy back into his character, right? So we're thinking like, is he like just gonna cause trouble and then like try to make use of the opportunity? But like, it's just hard to figure him out right now because his motives and like his actions just feel a little like conflicting right now. Like, I don't really know what he's trying to do.
I mean, I like the idea of him taking down the commanders. I think that's like something really interesting. But by the time he reaches land, like, Shanks needs to like Bellamy this dude at Jaya. Like, but it's crazy to me that Shanks is here right now. Part of me feels like he is just going to sail away and be like, I don't care about this dude. And then it's going to take Kid wrecking house on Elbaf to pull him back or something. Because initially I thought, and I predicted Kid going to Elbaf a while ago. And, before the Birdman thing, before Saul, everything, I was like, I see Kid on Elbaf. And the reason for that is like, it's not even so much what is he going to do in this arc, it's what is he going to do in the story. Like, on a full meta level, like, he has no role in my mind. Yeah. So he needs to be in another smaller arc before the end of the story to get him out, because he's not going to Laughtail. Now, I thought maybe it would be that he is the villain of Elbaf, and like Luffy's got to take him down because he attacked the villagers. And I basically put Luffy in there as like the Shanks role of what Shanks seems to, be taken care of right now. And with Shanks here, it's like, is it a thing where Shanks is going to kill Kid or imprison Kid or, do something to Kid that colors the way Luffy looks at Shanks differently so that we get the Luffy and Shanks fight? But then I'm like, does Luffy have enough of an attachment to Kid? Because barely anybody in the community does. So it's like, what is the end game here? Obviously, the Burn Man is Saul, so we're trying to loop Saul into this. We're going to come here likely with Vegapunk. The Giants hate Big Mom. Kid killed Big Mom. So is there going to be some sort of reverence for him at first? Are they going to laugh at Killer's laugh, and then he starts going off after, you know, finding some sort of common ground? There's different story elements to kind of play through everything, but I'm expecting like the battle royale that Oda was talking about in the you know, the editor comment, or, you know, whatever that was. This person's fighting this person. Yeah, the Jump Festa one. That there's going to be a battle royale. There's only two places that I think a battle royale can happen: Full or Elbaf. And I like it better on Elbaf because it ties into Ragnarok, and we get those Norse themes and everything like that. So like, let's bring Big Mom back, because I don't believe she's dead. Have her crew pull up. We've got Shanks' crew there. We've got Kid's crew. If Blackbeard pulls up, you know, he's not even on Full of Lead, something like that. We have Luffy there. Then we have this massive, like, you know, we get the Cross Guild involved. We just have all of the Emperors there, and we have a, you know, massive battle royale. Or we move that to Full of Lead. Some of Blackbeard's crew pulls up to Egghead, steals Vegapunk because he knows how to create the Mera no Mi, which Blackbeard wants. Right? Or they take S-Snake or something. Then now we, the Straw Hats, have a narrative reason to go to Full Lead while Garp is there, and we have Kobe and Law and, you know, Kuzan, and, you know, we get some sword business.
Sword, yeah.
Everybody's
waiting for that.
It's all coming together. Everybody's in the same place. They're all in the same place.
They're all there. Oh, man.
So it's just like, which way are we going? And I'm leaning more towards Elbaf being for the Ragnarok thing. But it's just, you know, and while we're at it, like, let's get it crazy. Let's get Enel from the moon, and, you know, we have Thor there. Like I think Elbaf has to be the Marineford parallel, the Marineford inversion, because I feel like we're in the archipelago right now. Like everything, and I said we, you know, even in Wano, I was like, we're very Thriller Bark right now. After this, or at the very end of the arc, we need an archipelago. So we moved forward from that, and now what happens? We've got Kizaru in the story, we've got Kuma in the story, Bonnie in the story. Like, it's all, we have a celestial dragon showing up.
Yeah.
So it's either
Rocks,
way, like
pirates connections, even with Stussy.
Yeah. It's, so there's a lot, and I think that, you know, this arc has the potential to end in a similar way to the archipelago. Things do not end well. We've got 100 ships showing up. Maybe the Sunny gets, you know, destroyed, or, you know, like, badly damaged from everything.
Savage.
Tie that into why Frankie's face is the Sunny on the wanted poster. Like, something has to happen to the Sunny. And, you know, whether that's Frankie making a giant mech out of it or something also, but it's just... Oda's gotta, he's gotta pull through. He's got a lot of pieces at play here.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of pieces at play.
It's like, especially like talking about this Rumble, like a Royal Rumble, essentially, Battle Royale that's going on. Like, everybody's starting to go after these, like, poneglyph battles. Like, even Shanks, like, that's like the key focus for pretty much everybody right now. So, like, that's, like, it really feels like we're building up to that. And, like, this one giant battle, whoever comes out of it is gonna have all four, and then we're going to Laugh Tale. Do you think we get, like, another grand battle of, like, the same scale with the final war afterwards, though? Because that, if you're looking at, like, Oda's probably not finished this story in, like, 3 to 4 years, but, like, if you're thinking about his vision, there's probably not 2 giant wars fit into this, right? If he's thinking about, at the very least, this structure of how long it could potentially take.
I mean, in my mind, it's always go to Laugh Tale, become the Pirate King, go to Mary Jo,
world government. Yeah,
take him down, because we just learned what happened and we have to fix the world. So if we end up in a situation where we have this giant naval battle and it actually ends favorably for us, where we destroy 100 warships. Then we've completely crippled the Marines, allowing for an easier time when we get to Marijoa, because then it's just focused on the top tiers.
That's a good point.
I guess there's a world for that. I mean, is this that scale where we're just gonna have all of these Marines and then Egghead is like got a Marine 4 and 5 to it. That's kind of a crazy thought to it, actually. Trying to think about seeing all of these vice admirals flying around this scientific land. Oh man. I just need
the other thing I was gonna say. The other thing that I think about when it comes to like a battle royale, I feel like maybe one reason I wouldn't want like Blackbeard specifically involved is because like Blackbeard I always still see as this like 1v1 battle, because the Straw Hat matchups have to happen, right? I feel like the parallels there are just too strong. The numbers are all the same. Like when they were introducing Jaya, we even got like the positions they were matching up. Then Shiryu joins. Like it's always like just been right there. So I feel like for us not to get that would be a pretty weird choice.
We're gonna get that because whatever the battle, if the battle royale happens on Full Lit or happens on Elbaf, like Blackbeard wins. Like, there's no way he doesn't win because he is the main competition for Laughdale. That's why I said Kid needs to get out of the story because he's not going. But Blackbeard could. And Buggy's definitely going to get there as well. Yeah. Just as a gag. But, like, Blackbeard needs to be the person that gets the all four. He's got to get all four first because that's where the drama in the story is going to be. Like, he's going to be the closest to becoming the Pirate King, because he's going to have all four of them first, and or at the same time that we do. Either way, maybe a situation where he steals our rubbings, but we had backups or something, and then it's like this race, this rat race to the end. And maybe it's a situation where the battle royale is on Laughdale and everybody gets the rubbings, and then it's just everybody's fighting on the way there. But ultimately, we will get the 1v1s versus
that has
Blackbeard's crew.
It's just hard to map everything out right now because we're talking about all this, right? And then we talked about Lodestar still has to happen. It's just like, where do you sneak that in? Because I feel strongly that it has to happen, but then it's just like there's one war going on, then we gotta fight Blackbeard, then we gotta race to Laughdale.
Lodestar is probably going to be like Lode Town. Like it's going to be that last stop before they like kind of like gas up, get everything that they need, and then like and then go on the final journey, and then they'll just have to deal with some sort of issue. I mean, maybe that's where the Cross Guild actually comes to play, because if it is a Lode Town like reversal, then we would have Buggy there. Another mock execution of Luffy. I think Buggy. I actually think Buggy on Lodestar makes a lot of sense because I hadn't thought about this, but he has a very strong connection to that particular island because he didn't get to go to Laughdale because he was on Lodestar. So I think Buggy. So Buggy at Lodestar makes a lot of sense to me, actually. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I still want a Cross Guild Davy back fight though, and that's how we get the Zoro fight versus Mihawk. That's the combat.
Yeah, listen, I'm down for a Davy bag of any kind, whether it happens against the Red Hair Pirates or the Cross Guild. Oh man, it would really just bring the Long Ring Long Land like full circle and just like finally complete it into this just like a huge connection, and then of course it could connect right into the Rocks Pirates, and now that arc's pretty damn important.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be like the next big video that I do once I've got my studio reset up. To do going into all of the reasons why a Cross Guild Davy back fight makes sense. A couple super chats here that relate to Blackbeard since we were talking about him. Brandon King said Blackbeard's goal with Law's Fruit is to switch himself with Emu. inheriting and fulfilling Rox's will to be king of the world, like Luffy with Roger's will. Do we know that Blackbeard specifically wants Lost Fruit, though? That's the thing. There's no indication that he was that he specifically wanted Lost Fruit. He specifically wants Hancock's fruit. And there's a prior connection between Blackbeard and Law, implication being the Rocky Port incident. So at that particular time, why didn't Blackbeard just take it then? He's always wanted the devil fruits. So I don't think that I don't think Law's fruit is a part of Blackbeard's plan. But Hancock's is, which is why he needs to either get Hancock, get S-Snake, or get Vegapunk to make a new version of the Marimaro no Mi.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because Law in particular, he didn't even know who was coming. He was like, one of you guys is going to come, and then whatever poneglyphs you got, that's what I'm after.
Yeah, and it's more like Sashiburi Dana, Trafalgar Law. Like, that's it. Like, you know, I'm like, all right. Okay. All right, Rocky Port boys. I can't wait to get more info on the Rocky Port. Like that's one of my like favorite mysteries of One Piece. Because it's so embedded into everything with Sword as well in my headcanon. Kube of the Red Sea said, "What are your thoughts about Pudding's devil fruit being possibly used on Garp? I legit believe that Garp has suppressed memories of God Valley that Blackbeard needs." I've heard this before. I do like it, and I like it specifically because it actually gives her fruit narrative purpose, which it has not had. Her fruit has never been useful for anything, and I think it's one of the coolest fruits. I always thought that she was going to dig into Big Mom's mind and resurface everything with Mother Carmel so that we can kind of deal with that, and then we have like a character moment there. Instead, it was just really awkwardly used on Reiju, and nothing really came of that. So, and then the Sanji thing is cute, but it's still not.
For such a powerful fruit, you would think it would have a bigger narrative purpose.
Yeah. Making Sanji forget about the kiss does nothing for the overall arc or story. It's a character moment. So what we need is something that has implications. If Pudding pulls out the God Valley flashback from Garp's mind, like, that's cool. That has implications. Because then when we get the flashback, Blackbeard gets valuable intel, because I also have always believed that Rox was very well aware of what the true history was and all of that. He wasn't a bad guy. He was trying to stop the world government before they could become even more of what they are today. Just with really excessive means, probably. Yeah. Let's see. So we may have a traitor on Egghead. You're a betting man. Who are you putting your money on?
Oh man, see, like for the most part, I was taking a back seat on this, kind of just enjoying it. And then Par, we had a collab like last week, and he just like gave me the deep dive, and like I don't know if it made me more confused or because like it was so many different pieces of evidence. By the end of it, we were like, it could be anybody. But after I went back and just like pretty much reread all of Egghead, I feel like someone I feel strongly right now, maybe not even as the main person, but I just feel like Stussy is still involved in some way as an accomplice. Starting with the fact that, first off, she was the person that called the Marines in the first place to let them know that the Straw Hats were there, right? So maybe she was acting the part, but the fact that she was the one to make that order to get the Marines involved, which not only got Kizaru here, but the fact that the Gorosei member is here as well, feels very suspicious, especially with the recent
Good point.
chapter.
That's a real good point.
Yeah, with the recent chapter, Vegapunk is specifically mentioning there's no reason that the world government should know that we were looking into poneglyphs and stuff. So clearly the traitor is involved with the world government in some point, like in some part. So Stussy, even though she might not be the main traitor within the Vegapunks, because we know somebody's been there doing this stuff for months, it does feel like Stussy is involved as an accomplice of some sort. Adding into that, like when they first opened up the force field, so Lucci and Kaku got in, but it wasn't just them. It was Stussy and the Seraphims also got in. So like Lucci and Kaku got in there, but like it really felt like the bigger deal, like for that action, was to get the Seraphims, and then Stussy also being in that group as well kind of adds to that. So Stussy really is the one that I'm most keen on, at least being an accomplice. As far as the mastermind, I don't really have a good read right now. I do find it suspicious that Atlas was the only one that was not around when the force field went down in the first place. And then York is just a weird vibe that I'm getting. Because York, like we were talking about in chat, like York gives me Chondro vibes. Like Chondro to me, before he was a traitor, was easily the most boring scabbard that really, like he was almost kind of a gag, right? If Chondro was just Chondro during the raid on Onigashima, nobody would have cared about Chondro. Instead, he turned into this super interesting villain. York right now is kind of that. She just does, eats, sleeps, poops, and that's like pretty much all she does. Is that her entire character? Because that's like, it feels like a little empty. So
Yeah,
like,
I've seen
there's
some.
no like, yeah.
I've seen some people say that like she's tired of being the
And her
the
thing is
machine
greed,
for everybody else.
too. Her personality is greed. So
I do like that. I like the Stussy angle because that's Stussy is sussy.
mhm.
We knew this. We were talking about that over here. When she called the Marines, was that before or after the phone call that turned her over? Because if she was still just playing her role, then maybe she is fine. And it was like,
It might have been before the phone call, but I just like the fact that like the girls say showed up. Like it's just like, and then the recent chapter that is like specifically like they know that Vegapunk is reading poneglyphs, and that's why it's a bigger deal. So it's like,
But at that point, I kind of feel like Stussy would have known that for a long time. Being so close to Vegapunk, I feel like she would have been in on it all. I mean, it does work. It makes sense, and it's a lot better to have Stussy be a villain than to have her be an ally, because it's like to stretch her over, since Whole Cake Island introducing her.
yeah.
And then just saying like this other person is going to help us. It's a lot stronger to have her be an obstacle because we've seen her. And the other thing too is, and I've actually mentioned this before, is that she has always been pro-government. Like, and I went back to this scene because I always talk about the Tamate Bako as like one of my big things that calls back to Gear 5. Odie turning old, Luffy turning old. The pills were probably a way to recreate the Gear 5 transformation. And there's got to be something dealing with Sulong, tying it all together. But Stussy shows up to the tea party not for Big Mom, not for Judge, not for the Straw Hats, not for anything. She's there for the Tamate box and the pills that are inside of it. And she's willing to kill the dude who funded the entirety of Mads to get that. And when she kills Dufeld, she says the world government will be taking that now. So she's drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Like she is
that's a little too far on it. She was by herself. Like, she didn't have to put up the act at that point.
She is her.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just, so with that, with her wanting that for the government, and even though it blows up and it's not everything, like, she still has all of these other points where it's just like she really believes in the message of the world government, and now she just suddenly flipped and it's just like, yeah, I'm working with Vegapunk. I think, based off of what you're saying, I think it would be really interesting to go back into another thing that I would really love to see, is if Stussy is the one that's responsible for the capture of Luffy. Like, if Luffy gets captured, like, she pulls up, catches him slipping like she did Kaku and Lucci real quick,
Yeah.
bites him, offers him up to the world government because they're interested in the Nika power. They're worried about that. If it ties back to the Tamate box, all of this, then we get, you know, Marineford 2.0, where it's not Ace, it's Luffy, and everybody that he's liberated across the story has to come to his rescue. Like, that's something that means something to me. It's something that, you know, raises the hair on my arms when I think about it. And that would be a really great use of Stussy.
Interesting idea. But, like, do you feel like it's a weird to, like, it feels like a turn almost? Because right now it feels like we're going to Elbaf and, like, everything we just had previously discussed. If all of a sudden you have a Marineford,
well,
is the world government going to be over part first? Like, how quick is that? Like,
so
trying to think of the timeline.
So we need an Impel Down 2.0 of some kind. And I think out of any of the inversions, that's the one that really should be the most literal. Going back there. Doflamingo's got to get out. It's already being set up that Marco's going to show up to get out Weevil. And we've got Bon Clay there. Maybe Foxy is there. Yep. Senor Pink gets out because we're already, you know, establishing like Senor Pink with the, you know, the green blood. Yeah. And I love the idea now of I had an idea in another stream where Smoker could end up in Impel Down. Like, if he pulls up to Egghead.
Yeah, part of this fleet, yeah.
Part of this fleet, right? He's gung-ho because he knows Luffy's there. But then he learns the mission that they're after Vegapunk. They're after Vegapunk, this dude who just cured all these kids.
Exactly.
Right? And Smoker's introduction is literally him showing that he has a reverence for children. Like, oh, I'm sorry, my pants ate your ice cream. I'm gonna, here's some money, go get yourself another ice cream. His focus, Punk Hazard, help the kids, get them to Vegapunk, get them cleared. His justice, I don't think, would allow him to allow the government to kill this man. So this could be the moment where we get that turn for Smoker.
Breaking point.
Yeah. And if he does something where he is part of the Protect Vegapunk team and does sort of a sacrifice play where he allows the Straw Hats to escape with Vegapunk, and then he gets reprimanded and thrown an Impel Down for like going against the government. Because we need a focus. We need someone that means something to us as readers to drive the story of Impel Down. And like getting this breakout out. If Luffy is thrown into Impel Down and the reversal is him, you know, not going to the bottom and then, you know, starting at the top, going to the bottom, but actually working his way back up from being imprisoned in the bottom, right? And then the new team is like, you know, and Luffy is like imprisoned with Smoker. Then it's Luffy, Smoker, Doflamingo, Senor Pink, Bon Clay.
Yeah.
You know,
remember how fun Impel Down was.
yeah. Then Marco shows up, right?
Yeah.
Weevil. This is probably where the Grand Fleet would come into play. because they'd know, and then they'd pull up and get everything, while the Straw Hats are kind of figuring out everything else, and they've got to protect Vegapunk. Zoro leads the crew for a bit. Like, these are the kind of things that would be fun. You know, we don't necessarily need to get Luffy on the chopping block and have everybody saving him, but if a bunch of people pull up specifically to Impel Down to, like, break everybody out, and then we have all of the pieces in play for the final war, that could be interesting.
Yes, I mean, that sounds like a really fun arc to me. I just don't know if I'm just trying to figure out the pathway and like whether or not that fits the structure Oda kept laying out for the past like year and a half of like how much time.
I don't know how we get to Elbaf in that scenario, but it's like, I mean, I guess we would have to if that's where the word poneglyph is, but or maybe the crew is on Elbaf and it's, you know, the Grand Fleet pulls up, because maybe Sai and Leo tried to protect Vivi and they're also an Impel Down. So it's like, you know, so then we have them, and then it's just the Grand Fleet pulling up to Elbaf. Reunion with the crew at Elbaf. Then get ready to... I don't know. It's like trying to make the pieces work with still getting it Impel Down 2.0, which is definitely going to happen. It's just who is going to be our central character in that. Because I feel like we need a Straw Hat, or we need someone, we need like a beloved character. Like if it's not a Straw Hat, then we need like a Sabo, a Vivi, a Smoker. We need someone that could reasonably become the protagonist for a little bit. You know, that we could turn to, that we understand is like, okay, we're going to let the story drive this. Because we're not going to follow Doflamingo as like the main character.
Nah, it's Foxy. The Foxy.
I don't think we're going to stay with Marco as he's like doing all of this and getting Weevil out. You know, that's more of like a cover story. As much as I love Marco, it's just it's not. But if we have someone who's like really important to the end game of everything. Someone in the chat said Bon Clay. Bon Clay is not, unfortunately, is not like a driving force character enough to.
A lot of people still think he's dead.
But yeah, if you watch the anime, you definitely think he's dead. Like, and I wish he was. I love him, but I mean, it would have been way better. So much better. So,
but no, that would be really fun. It's just, Egghead, like the conclusion of Egghead's really gonna drastically shift the direction the story goes, because like wherever we go from here, that's gonna be the path. Like whether it's Impel Down or the big battle royale towards Elbaf or whichever.
Shout out to my guy Fable, member for 20 months, said 2 years soon. Yep, 4 more months. Fable backwards, Elbaf. We're going there eventually. I mean, we're there now. What am I talking about? We're there. With the crew. Let's see. What are some things that you're most excited about, like, coming up?
I mean, most excited is Elbaf, like we just talked about, because like Shanks is such an anomaly, right? Like he's been in maybe 10 chapters, and he's always top 10. It's like, what other character?
Well, he's been in 10 chapters in the past, like, you know, like year though.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Prior to that, he was in like, maybe 8 chapters.
But like, but to finally just explore him and like Elbaf, like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to set my expectations too high, but I hope we get like a really good Usopp arc involving Yasopp as well. I don't know how far that aspect will be explored, but at the very least, I'm looking forward to some more Usopp development, because I really felt like Wano, he took a pretty big back seat there. So I'm looking forward to that. And then just like all the little things, also in regards to Elbaf, I guess we could talk about this a little bit. Vivi, I think we both agree, is gonna be there. I was surprised that Wapol like was with her now. Did you expect Waffle to show up there? Like,
That was my favorite part of this, like, twist.
Yeah, because everybody thought he was gonna snitch, and now she's on the run.
Myself included.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be part of why she was on the run, because he snitched.
Yeah.
I still want Wapol to, and good segue, I can talk about Vivi. I wanted Wapol to be at least indirectly involved with Cobra's murder, because we know they don't like each other and everything like that. So if I feel like he would have sold Cobra out, you know? And if he did that and then felt bad and then helped Vivi or something, like... But ultimately, I think the best thing that could come out of a storyline between Vivi and Wapol is something that ends with her slapping him.
Because the flashback
yeah. So like let's bring this full circle. Like, she held her tongue when she was a kid, but now she's been taught by the Straw Hats, like, impulsiveness and everything like that, and now she's the the no smoke queen. So it's like, I feel like if Wapol just talks out of turn, she's like, I'm not a kid anymore.
Yeah.
Like, just smack him. Like, if I get that slap panel,
I'm here.
Surprise, motherfucker.
That's what I want. But Vivi needs to be on Elbaf.
Savage.
Especially because of the ties to Little Garden, and that was one of my things where I thought maybe she could have been slapped there. Vivi and Leo and Sai brought her there. Dory and Bragi would have been hiding her. There's a lot for Vivi to do there. She was present for Usopp's realization of, like, his dream there and everything. She was partnered with Usopp for a fight on that island, so it's like, if we get that, we can twist and replay some of those values. And I just need Vivi back on the crew, because she's got to be at Left. She's got to be there. She's got to be there. Because it's not even so much about, like, saving her kingdom now. It's about saving the world. And I feel like that's something that would bring Vivi back to the table, so that she can be the diplomat or the voice for the people once they learn what the true history is.
Yeah.
This internet that Vegapunk wants to create, if Frankie inherits that will or anything like that, he creates the internet. He creates some sort of a snail system to get a voice, and then we get this parallel to Vivi, like, talking to the crew as they're leaving, but she's talking to the entire world and telling them what the 800 void was, what that history was, and she's taking it from the standpoint, going back to the Kurozumi thing that we were talking about earlier, of how accepting that responsibility that the Kozuki should have done. If Vivi accepts the Nefertari responsibility for what happened to the Ancient Kingdom by being part of the 20 Kings, and even though they separated later, they were still there. Yeah. Accomplice.
Yeah.
So for her to be that voice that gets to everybody, I think that's what would rally a revolution. Or maybe because, Robin is literally called the light of the revolution, would it be her? But I think Vivi would be the voice, and Robin would be the one that is, translating it for her so that she can deliver that message. And then that's actually a good character moment between Vivi and Robin, because they're gonna have to find a way around that. And that's the kind of drama stuff that I really want. Even though we had Vivi look at the newspaper and say, like, hey, look, if she's part of their crew, I trust Luffy. Like,
actually seeing face-to-face interaction is just different.
Yeah. I just need her to pull up and just be like,
it's gonna be good, man.
Sachi out, Miss All Sunday. Like, she'll never call her Robin. She'll always say Miss All Sunday.
By the time it happens, it's gonna be like almost 1,000 chapters since like the crew has reunited with her. Like so.
Well, not only that, it's actually almost
Wow.
1,000 chapters since her introduction. So
Wow.
I'm low key thinking that Oda will do his thing.
His number thing, yeah.
And
Have
like
it
11
happen, right?
1103, man. Vivi back. Because I'm pretty sure that was her introduction, 103. So 1103, calling it now. Vivi's going to be in the chapter, 1,000 chapters since Miss Wednesday.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I'm excited for Vivi. Like you mentioned, the little garden connections, they're so strong. Like the fact that she was there for all of it, like all the introductions to Elbaf and everything, like that's such a big hint that she's got to be involved there. And then of course her final message was literally like, I gotta come back eventually, right?
Exactly. She's definitely going to come back in a big way. I'm excited for it. And, you know, just say that, you know, in the meantime, she didn't spend those 2 years lightly. She was getting trained by...
Strong you think she's gonna be. Because like, I don't think she's gonna be duking it out with anybody though.
I need her. I need her to look. I feel like people severely underestimate Vivi and like her strength. Because first of all, she was a frontier agent in Baroque Works.
Mm-hmm. True.
Like, there's 2,000 people. You have to work your way up. Like, so she proved herself in an assassin organization to get to top 10. So
True.
there's that. People think she never fought. Like, she, you know, she took out Miss Wednesday with Vivi, with Nami. Sorry, Miss Valentine's Day. She took out Miss Valentine's Day with Nami. She took out Mr. Seven and Miss Father's Day. She immediately attacked Crocodile, but, you know, no hockey. Cut his head off, though. There's a lot of room to show that she can fight. And I would love if she had, like, a really sweet 1v1 to kind of solidify herself before the series was over. And just show that, you know, we saw that she got the message. She understood what 3D2Y meant. So
maybe she was putting in the work.
Put in the work. Put in the work.
Hey, I'm here for it. I don't expect her, like, the 1v1 is tough because like how just like the scale that we're at right now. But hey, like you said, put some respect on Vivi's name. Okay, she's already put in the work already in Baroque Works. She could have been training too.
Yeah. And I think Oda took a little extra time with Vivi's reintroduction in the New World to kind of remind you that she's not just some like dainty princess. Like, she's always been a tomboy. She's always been about that action, about that life. Like, she did that flip off the crow's nest. It was just like, this is nothing to me. In heels. Higuru's like, whoa,
In style.
hey. You know, my man said, careful, a giant bird might snatch you up. And now a giant bird literally did snatch her up. I would love for Vivi to be the voice for what really happened at the Reverie.
True. Because at the end of the day, that's what she does best, as the politician, essentially.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, we get that reunion on Elbaf, and then everybody asks what happened to her dad, and that's when we find out. Vivi tells us, and we go into that flashback, and we learn everything about the Reverie from her. That's, I need that. Shout out to my boy Fable with the flex. Appreciate you, my man. He said, Vivi being the one to reveal the Void Century makes a lot of sense. The world largely knows the Straw Hats as a pirate group, but they know Vivi as the princess of a benevolent kingdom. She's the only member of the Straw Hats who can do this. You know this. That's why it's one of my favorite theories that I have. Just like, I need her specifically at Laugh-Tale to deliver this message, because she will be the person that the world can trust. And then we'll get little mini revolutions popping up like we saw in
After Sabo.
1050, you know, like the Flame Emperor chapter.
Mhm.
So it's like we're gonna see a bunch of that, and there's gonna be ships and like just random dudes pulling up and like taking their countries back and being like, hey, look, we're done with this heavenly tribute. We're done with that. We're done with everything. And then Vivi,
the truth is out.
yeah, and then Vivi will be, you know, the diplomat for the world. She'll unite everybody. I mean, that's just like, I don't care what the One Piece is. Oda, I'll find out what it is when we get there. But I'll sit here and I'll theorize about what happens after we find it. What character moments we should get from that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the ones I really want. Shout out to Fro, Vivi for Pirate Queen. She already is the Pirate Queen. You saw it, it's in the manga. It's in the manga. I love that. You know.
True, the her in the outfit.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite parts. and technically, you know, that would be a funny thing too, right? She delivers this message,
And now she's the pirate queen.
Savage.
and then people literally call her the Pirate Queen because they associate her going to the final island
Yeah.
and finding the One Piece. And you know, it's Luffy's the Pirate King, she's the Pirate Queen, and then people will be like, Goda, it was foreshadowed right at the end of Alabasta with Igaram's dream, and it's just like, yes. But before all of that, Buggy needs to like get on a video transponder snail and like
Yeah, true.
and say that he got there first, and then Luffy's just got to push him to the side and be like, no, it was me. Ugh. And then everybody
Fantastic.
sits back and lets Vivi do her thing. Crocodile just watches from afar, lighting a cigar, just recognizing that this is what needs to happen.
Do you think Shanks is gonna get to Laughtail too? Because I feel like if Buggy's gonna get there, I feel like that the message Shanks had with him's gotta come full circle as well. Where he's like, eventually we'll both get there.
I feel like he does. You know, and it's like, it seems like there's a lot of people that would get there.
Same with Law, right? Yeah.
Does Law need to get there? Nah. I don't care about that. I mean, I could see Oda shoehorning him in if he's already got, you know, like Buggy, Shanks, Crocodile, Blackbeard. Like, all right, yeah, put Law there too. But it seems like a lot of people, but it also doesn't make sense finishing the story without all of those people there. So, and even if Crocodile doesn't get there, but it's just, even though his dream was to become the Pirate King, that's kind of interesting. But Buggy and Shanks, because they didn't get there with Roger,
Yeah, those are the big ones, I feel
like they should be there. And I would put Buggy way higher than Shanks. And maybe it's a situation like, you know, people theorize, and I don't know how invested I am in the idea of it, but Shanks dies, and then it's Buggy inheriting Shanks's will and getting there, and then there's like an emotional moment from Buggy being there, and it's like, and then he's like crying and he's saying like, Shanks, you could have gone here. Why did you like stay with me on Lodestar? You could have already seen this. That's kind of powerful.
It is. I don't know if that's better, or do I like the gag better? Like, because the gag of him just like getting there and then like everybody thinking he's the Pirate King, even if it's briefly first, that might just.
I think there's a world where we could get both.
Yeah.
Because he would already do that, but then he would like resign himself
Actually
afterwards.
have the moment.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so much. There's so much that.
Still, yeah. even off panel as we speak, GARP is going to Blackbeard. Like,
No. Orange Mania said, if you have Vivi, GARP, Kobe, Kuzan, Smoker all saying the Celestial Dragons are doo-doo, that's pretty damning. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and GARP is definitely going to double down on that because he's the leader of Sword.
I back it.
You can't change my mind. All right? Barry said, not gonna lie, completely forgot about the Flame Emperor thing. We literally started the stream
Right.
talking about saying everybody forgot about Sabo.
That's the beginning of the arc. He got blown up, and now it's like nobody remembers that anymore.
But the thing is that we all just know he's alive. It's
Exactly.
just like it's just all right, but what?
The same people's like, do you think Blackbeard killed Law? Hell no, I don't think Blackbeard killed Law. No chance.
Law's in a cell next to Kobe right now, and I need that conversation. That's what I need. Okay, they're gonna talk about Rocky Port. They're gonna talk about Sword. And GARP's gonna pull up to save his boys. And they're gonna have to pretend that they don't know that Kuzan is like
Let's give him the
on their side. Right. How do you think all this full of lead stuff is gonna go down with GARP, Blackbeard?
Man,
You know, Kuzan being there. Shout out to Fro super chat saying, "Who's Sabo?" I'll bring back the Thanos.
I don't even know who you are.
But yeah, the full lead it's tough for me because like I do think Blackbeard has defeated Law, but now he's got Law and Kobe, and like he's ready to go. He's got 3 road poneglyphs, scrubbings from Law himself, got pudding, like he is stacking up. GARP being there feels like he should achieve his goal and get away. But I feel like it's about time we start to really build up Blackbeard, you know? Like if Blackbeard is able to get a win from GARP now, like, cause like he's been dealing off panel a lot, especially post time skip, right? We haven't really seen the levels to this. And if he's really gonna be that final pirate rival to Luffy, at some point we really have to like add up his feats a little bit to really feel that threat and danger. Obviously you could do it when they actually face off, but like if GARP walks away from this battle like just achieving everything he wanted, then it might feel like a little bit of a knockdown for Blackbeard. At the same time, I love GARP, so like I wouldn't really mind it. But it's just like with Blackbeard, maybe Blackbeard goes easy on it, because like does he have motive to really be fighting GARP? Like what would he get out of GARP? But at the same time, like the question that always confused me actually is I don't know what the purpose of Kobe is to Blackbeard.
So, I mean, if we go back to the super chat from earlier, and he wants GARP to pull up so that he can get those memories of God Valley, that's kind of
the option.
That's interesting, and that implies why he needed pudding specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the reason he got pudding is because he's going to use Lafitte to hypnotize her into opening her third eye, and then she can read the poneglyph run-ins for them. But Kobe, I think the only thing that I can make sense of is that he saw everything that happened on Amazon Lily. He sees, you know what I mean? It was off screen, but if we have a flashback where he sees that the Seraphim S Snake had the Mero Mero no Mi, and saw that Kobe was able to control the Seraphim, then he steals Kobe for the authority chip and the information on the Seraphim. He learns that Vegapunk has reproduced these fruits. Then he secretly, just like, you know, he sent Kuzan and Augur to Whole Cake Island he sends Shiryu and Devon, maybe Moria, like, I don't know, let's get Moria involved in this, to Egghead. And then, like, all of these things are happening at the same time. Vegapunk gets taken, you know, in the midst of all of this, he's already in a prison. The ships are showing up to save Vegapunk, but then everybody's, our side and the Marines, where is Vegapunk? And Blackbeard's got him. You know,
that could be a good angle.
Either way, Blackbeard needs to win because it has to resemble what happened in the pre-time skip.
Yeah.
Savage.
Blackbeard moves through fate. Like, that's what him and his crew believe. He believes that fate opens the doors for them always. So every time you look at any of their panels, they're always talking about it. So what is fate allowing for them here? But he's a planner, he's a schemer. There's so much that has been going on, and we couldn't even really understand the machinations of Blackbeard's plan until he was already at Marineford. And then it was like, okay, so he was going to use Luffy to become a warlord, but instead used Ace. Because he used Ace, that allowed Marineford to happen, which got him access to the Gura no Mi. And he utilized his position to get into Impel Down to get his crew.
Like, goddamn.
Right. So it's like there's a lot of layers to all of this, but that's how Blackbeard operates. So there has to be a lot of layers. So he's kidnapping Pudding. We've already established that Pudding's third eye, if it's awakened, can read the poneglyphs. If it's also a thing where her fruit can help as well. If she awakens her fruit and she sees the memories of objects, and then it's we're able to read them that way. Either way, that's definitely that. If there's some sort of GARP angle that's necessary, or if it's really just about learning more about Vegapunk, then we have Kobe. Why Blackbeard wouldn't just kill Law? That's the question. And I think that maybe it's a scenario where GARP shows up and it seems like he's winning, but Blackbeard isn't there yet. And then Blackbeard pulls up right as he's about to leave with Kobe. And then Kuzan has to kind of explain himself. And if we go down this path where GARP dies, it's a situation where Kuzan kills him.
Oh, okay.
And
like some super deep under, like some Snape stuff.
Snape. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Because they're all working together with Sword, and the plan needs to survive, and it's not necessarily something that he needs to be there for, or it's a. But here's the thing: if Kuzan just freezes GARP, it's not good enough, because we know ice time capsule, everything like that. So that would come across like a Nami and Usopp and Arlong Park thing. Like, I'm gonna stab my hand and push into the water. Like, I could see Kuzan doing something like that. But then if Blackbeard pulls out one of the 3 guns that he's strapped with,
he's not having it,
and shatters the ice,
that'd be cold.
I see, like let's get spicy. Like that's
spicy meatball.
The stakes have to rise, right?
Yeah. Hold on, we got a super chat from my boy Fable here. He said, GARP is going to show us how much of a monster he is. Blackbeard is going to show us the ceiling of One Piece. GARP is one of the only characters with the experience to put Blackbeard on that level. Blackbeard should break that old man. I mean, I would love that. GARP's definitely got a, he's got a swing.
Yeah, he's got a rep. He's got a reputation.
Yeah.
He's that guy.
He's Tim Jones. So, but Blackbeard's got the Himberlands on, so he's gonna be stomping Garp out probably. I don't see a scenario where Garp wins, even though because it's just Blackbeard has to win in all things. So it's how do we get Blackbeard to win and make it a satisfying story?
Yeah.
But Garp has to get some sort of a W, and I think that's Kobe gets released.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a situation where, like Kobe's released, and then Blackbeard's pulling up with Law, and then now it's like, oh, I have to save Law too.
Yeah.
And then he sacrifices himself for Law. Then we're feeding the headcanon here. Yeah. Mark Creasy said he's Timothy Chalamet. Oh yeah.
Oh man, that's fantastic.
Oh. So. Catching up on the chat here.
Shanks is mid-diffing Blackbeard somebody yet. I don't get the idea of Shanks being the strongest. Like I don't know how people get to that.
He's that dude, but I feel like it's because his crew is so equally balanced. Like I think a fight between Shanks and Blackbeard would be interesting because Shanks doesn't have a devil fruit, so everything that Blackbeard's about, like trying to negate fruits and everything, like then it's just about hockey. And Shanks's hockey is definitely better than Blackbeard. Blackbeard is the epitome of like I rely on my devil fruits.
Yeah, for sure.
And that has to be like the downfall and the thing that Luffy figures out, because he's gonna have to figure out how to fight without his devil fruit. So, and that's what I think, Oda's been setting up and all that with the hockey, with him training in Udon, so that he's actually just like physically stronger.
Yeah, well-rounded.
Yeah. And I think we'll see, if we get to actually see this Garp and Blackbeard fight, I think it'll be a precursor to understanding how Luffy's going to fight him.
That could be a good way, because then you have the Garp and Luffy connection as well, but then you could just show like Garp is just too old now. Like he's like Blackbeard gets that W, but then we start to get a glimpse of like how it could look in the future, and then Luffy kind of carries that on.
But see, my biggest issue is that like Luffy's got to be there if Garp's gonna die. Like I feel like he's got to see it. That's why that's my biggest issue with Garp's gonna get killed by Blackbeard, is that Luffy's not there. So for him to hear about it, like from the news or something, like that
doesn't hit the same. Yeah.
No. Exactly. But I guess we could get an emotional scene where Kobe and Luffy reunite, and Kobe and Luffy have like a moment where they kind of talk about it, and Kobe feels like he wasn't good enough because he couldn't protect this man who's more of a family member to Kobe than he ever was to Luffy.
Oh man. I mean, like, especially if you're talking about the scenario of Kuzan and the different ways that could go, I do think you could create a pretty emotional moment with just that group, especially like Kobe's reaction to everything, the struggle Kuzan could have to go through internally in that moment as well, and then we'll also build up Blackbeard. But I don't think we've never really gotten like that big of an emotional moment without the main cast involved, really.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there are enough people to probably understand to like figure that all out. But the only way it works for me, right, is, and in the hypothetical speculation, fan fiction that I'm building up here, where it's just like Kuzan freezes Garp to like play the role, and then Blackbeard, double taps either the Gurgur no Mi or like he breaks the ice. Then we get the shocked reactions of Kobe. We see through Kuzan's glasses that it was like that was not the plan.
Yeah.
In that moment, Blackbeard is winning, so it's like, who is the Shanks to come in and stop the war if it's not Kuzan in that moment? Because I feel like Kuzan is the only top tier to still let... Like, that would be the moment that has to break him. That would be the moment where he would have to turn on Blackbeard and, like, create an ice wall to let everybody else leave. Unless it's from the standpoint of, we did what we accomplished, let them go. Because I feel like Kuzan has to be at something has to tie Kuzan to Robin's story where he protects her for Blackbeard. Like, that's where I see like the end of Kuzan's story. So I can't see a scenario where he breaks away from Blackbeard or Blackbeard catches on through this GARP stuff. He has to still stay undercover through this.
That makes sense. I have to wait and see on that one, I guess.
Yeah. A year from now.
Or maybe SBS 106.
So Garp died. He died to Blackbeard. Yeah. It was a great fight. You guys should have seen it. Shout out to my guy Flying Panda. He's in the stream. And just modded Panda. Appreciate you stopping by, man. Yumil said Garp will lose and will be imprisoned with Law, Kobe, and Pudding, but Helmeppo will rescue them by going to Luffy. No, Helmeppo will rescue them by being the top tier that he is, right? Garp was like, hey, I gotta go fight an emperor. But first, let me go pick up Helmeppo. Like, tell me that's not how that scene reads.
Gotta get my left hand, man.
What happened to Bogard?
Yeah.
Where's he been? Did he die off screen? Oh my god. Barry said, yep, that's Kobe's grandfather right there. Randy's on another level of savage, wanting Luffy to witness Garp's death. I mean, I don't know. We need that Obi-Wan moment. I mean, like, if he's the chosen one and he's Luke, like, he's got to see a mentor figure die, whether that's Shanks or Garp. And I like the idea of it being Garp better than Shanks, but I guess it hits more if it's Shanks. Shanks is really the Obi-Wan.
Very motivated to say that his other wing is our Bogart and Helmeppo are the wings of the hero of the race.
Yeah, Kobe's just there.
Yeah,
he's just there. He's just there. Kobe wishes he could be what Helmeppo is. Kobe could never. Yeah. So let's see. We're at the 2-hour mark here, which is usually when I start winding things down. Any topics that you feel we haven't covered? I completely missed that you had a stream with Parvision last week. So you probably got out a lot of what you wanted to say at the Reverie there and all of that as well.
I feel like we touched on most of it. We did the SBS, Elbaf, the Traitor. Yeah, I mean, like, those are really the main things going on right now.
Oh, I didn't actually get into... I'm kind of suspect of Edison. Because Edison is conveniently not around whenever something happens. So... I don't think it's Atlas, but there was an interesting thing that I saw pop up. I can't remember where I saw it or who said it, but someone mentioned that Atlas is one of the moons of Saturn.
Yeah, that's what Par pointed out to me.
So that's probably
in the
where how
last
that
one.
got. That's probably how that got around to me. But I still, it's Edison and Lilith are, even though Lilith is like total red herring material.
Yeah.
I feel like it could still be that.
What for Lilith is it just like based off evil, or is there something notable that she did that pointed you in her direction?
She was there and talked about the other Cypher Pole agents getting eaten by the shark, you know, and everything.
Yeah.
Like, so, and she was the one that was doing all of the patrols out there.
True.
So I feel like, but then again, I mean, maybe that's the clue that it's not her. That maybe somebody else, that the shark wasn't necessarily a problem child,
Somebody
but the
just
shark
programmed that.
was programmed to do all of that. So yeah, I've actually now talked myself out of Lilith. But I also like the idea that it's something we haven't actually seen.
Yeah.
And that's the rest of Vegapunk's brain. The punk records itself.
True.
Becoming self-aware. Dizza in the chat called it HAL 9000, and I thought that was pretty apt. It's just like, sorry, Vegapunk. I'm afraid I can't do that.
No, yeah, that one fits too. Like we're in the sci-fi themed, like sci-fi themed arc, and that's like one of the biggest tropes. The AI takes over, you know.
Yeah, the AI takes over. The magnet shoes get put on. We get everybody else is stuck to the floor, but we already were told that Luffy's shoes are broken, so Luffy gets to do something. There's so many ways. Like, there's so many ways things can go, man. And then it's like the next chapter will come out, and it'll just send, as every week, it'll send us into a spiral of like new ideas and different ways that it'll go.
We still have to pick up on the Kuma backstory. Like that was what I was locked into, and then all of a sudden there's this traitor plot.
Well, the traitor plot's been there from the beginning. If you've been watching this channel,
but,
I'm like, nah. There's definitely. Barry said, Randy, the betrayal to your favorite mod right now. I know you love Edison. I know you love it. Let's see. Then
Par was mentioned in the last stream that because he was
Par's in the chat.
thinking
What's
about
up, brother? And
he was thinking about this idea about Shanks in particular back when he met with the Gorosei, saying, I want to talk to you about a specific pirate. And now he's thinking the cover story that we're seeing is that Vegapunk and the Mads, they're kind of like a pirate group. So what if Shanks was actually referring to Vegapunk and the power that he has and and all the stuff that he's looking into?
So he snitched
on
Vegapunk.
He's thrown that curveball.
So you trying to say that Shanks? See, I can't buy evil Shanks.
Me neither.
I don't buy it.
Yeah.
If he would have never created Luffy if he was evil, like he would have never sat there and been like, when he saw the first Wano poster, been like, so you've made it. He wouldn't have showed up to Marineford and been like, nah, it's not time yet. Luffy falls into whatever Rayleigh told Shanks about everything that they saw. Like, whereas Luffy didn't want to know and stopped Usopp from finding out the truth, Shanks pulled up to Rayleigh and was like, I didn't get to go. What happened? And based on what Rayleigh told him, they started their own plan, their own plot, looking for the person that they were looking for, looking for the reason why they were too early, the key to it all.
Mm-hmm.
So whether they thought that was Ace at first or whatever, there was definitely something that, you know, sparked Shanks to give his arm up for Luffy, and, you know, bet it on the new era. So I don't buy evil Shanks. I think that ultimately he wants the world to be reshaped into, you know, some sort of freedom as well, and that he is tactfully moving through everything until it it's about to be that time. And it's about to be that time.
About that time, y'all.
What's up, y'all? You know what time it is? It's about to be that time.
So it's not evil Shanks, it's One Piece Shanks, Parvision said.
Yeah, he's not really going full evil Shanks. It's more like savage Shanks in a way.
Yeah, but the thing is that I don't feel like Vegapunk hasn't indicated that he's trying to find the One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
So his poneglyph studying and everything like that isn't getting him very close to it unless Shanks already knows what the One Piece is and it is tied to the poneglyphs. So it's like, I need to stop this guy from figuring it out because he's not the one. He's not that guy. It's either me or Luffy. I mean, I guess there's a possibility for that. But I don't see Vegapunk as a pirate. I see him as a scientist, and I see him as a revolutionary.
Yeah, that was one thing I pointed out. I was like, it'd be a little weird that he's been working for the world government for this long to say that pirate Vegapunk. But it was a fun little curveball. Par's always throwing the curveballs.
Yeah. I would love if it's not Luffy. It makes sense. Like, it's the obvious answer, but the fact to drag it out for 4 years now or longer. How long ago was it? 907?
That was, yeah.
Probably 5 years by now.
Yeah, before Wano. Right before Wano.
To drag it out and not have it be Luffy. And just to have it be Luffy. Like, it needs to be a really good reason why it's Luffy. And I could see it being a situation where it's tied to Gear 5th, tied to Nika, and all of that. They didn't actually realize that the fruit that he had was the Nika fruit, and not just some rubber thing. And that's what he told them.
But why would he tell them that, though? Because my vision was like Luffy was like him, like backing Luffy. Like saying, like, don't go after Luffy.
I mean, if there were certain things that needed to happen, because it's like, it seems like after Shanks pulls up, that's when the world government goes even harder. And they want to focus on Luffy and Robin at Wano, right? So they send Tripper Scarfino and all of that after them. So if it was a thing where Shanks wanted them to kill him so that he would awaken, I don't know. But that's so complicated for me.
Yeah.
It's so complicated. Fable said, I don't see Vegapunk as a pirate. I see him as a scientist. What about Mont Blanc Nolan? A pirate is anyone this government finds inconvenient. Still probably referring to Luffy, though. Well, Mont Blanc Nolan wasn't...
Adventurer.
He was a botanist that was sort of a...
Like an explorer.
He was an explorer. Yeah, he didn't have a pirate flag, and he also had... He was basically on a mission from his kingdom.
Yeah.
So he, like like he probably would have been able to, go through border patrols and checkpoints with Marines, and like they would have like been like, "You're good, sir. You're a vizier and a courier of what was the kingdom that he was from? I can't remember. But anyway, he wasn't really a pirate, so I mean, the mad ship certainly looks like pirates, but the only one that actually became a pirate out of them is Queen. Caesar isn't really a pirate. Judge
was a ruler.
Is a ruler, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's not a pirate. It's a fine line.
Professor Clover, I think he could be considered a pirate, but even then, I feel like a little iffy. Could fit into that like explorer type of role, but I don't remember if his ship had a flag or anything.
I feel like he was probably a pirate, and then he retired at O'Hara.
Mm-hmm.
The way they made him look in that like quick flashback, they made him look like he like
Yeah.
he was out there
yelling
pirating.
yar and stuff.
Yeah.
Clover 1 billion bounty guarantee.
I mean, he knew the name of the final island.
Right. Yeah, connections.
Before the Revolutionary Army started, he was the most dangerous man in the world. And his death sparked that. I mean, it was part of that spark. I love that we got a little more expansion on O'Hara. Like
yeah,
that
was really fun.
That's one of my favorite things that came out of all of this. I love that Saul is back in the story. Like, I love that he's on the table. Like, I don't think that that's a bad fake out at all. I think that like that's how you do it. You bring somebody back and you magnetize them to the story, so that the narrative will be like driven in some shape to whatever his story is going to be.
I feel that. I feel like it was like the moment that it created, I think was worth it in the end. I do get the argument that like when you go back, obviously, and reread it, it's just not going to hit the same level of tragedy. But I still think in the long run, the payoff is better with the decision to bring him back. Especially now you have a whole much more to explore in Elbaf now too.
Saul dying in the O'Hara flashback was never like a big emotional moment for me. I found like Clover, Olvia, and like the ship that Akainu blows up way more devastating than Saul. Because it's like here Robin finally had somebody that was like, a friend, hanging out with her, someone to inspire, or someone to, look up to and all that. But she only knew Saul for like 4 days. So.
But they had a lot of time together. I think especially like the laughter at the end and stuff, I feel like that really hit home with a lot of people.
Yeah. Chin said, "I'm breaking Morge's heart." Why? What did Morge say?
I think he might have. I don't think he liked the Saul thing. Did he? I don't know. Maybe that's what he's doing, because that's what we're talking about.
Saul is better off alive than dead, in my opinion, because now that he's more interesting. He knows the history. It's probably Sword. It's probably part of Sword. He could be, at least. He's a former vice admiral that is now actively working against the world government. That's top tier material right there that we can explore when we actually like find
Sure.
him on Elbaf. Let's see. Tinfoil idea from Kev Dog. Clover is connected to Lucky Roo. It's 4-leaf clovers that are lucky. They both wear green.
Hey.
Oh man. How far are we gonna go down this rabbit hole, Kev? Bagel said Kev is cooking like like them boys in a cooking anime.
Shokugeki no Soma. Classic.
Kev's really cooking with grease. This is... It's Clover's son. The Green Fit tribe. We
Uh-oh, Zoro. Now that got confirmed to SPS. We're good. We're good on that.
But yeah, I mean, I feel good, man. I feel like
Touched on
good.
everything. Yeah.
they probably like going getting something to eat. Why don't you tell everybody where to find you? Your 100,000 subscribers strong King Pirates.
You can check me out. I'm the King. And yeah, that's the main YouTube channel. You want to check out my Twitter is I'm the Zack.
And then you have another YouTube channel, don't you? Where you talk about other stuff?
Yeah, the second channel is me just messing around. To be honest, it's incredibly inconsistent. So,
Movie Morge.
yeah. There's manga Morge now too now.
Ah, hey, my boy. Yeah. So, glad we got to do this, man.
For sure.
Appreciate it. I did feel bad that couldn't get you into the reverie, but you were there in the chat for a little bit, so we had you there in some respect.
Yeah, man. Just stop
So
by.
all right. So thanks everybody. I did shoot a video on Smoker. Touched on a couple of things, you know, in this. Do have to edit it. I don't know when it's going to come out, but hopefully before spoilers come out and tell us that Smoker's actually in the chapter or something.
It's tomorrow, so
right.
I gotta get on.
Well, I'm official now too, and it's like it's such a pain because it's like I'll put my video out on Monday, and then 10 minutes later the spoilers come out.
Spoilers drop. It's crazy these days, man.
I'm like, and then the chapters are coming out on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then you know, it's just it's rough. It's rough, but hey.
I know people can't get enough. We got spoilers channels blowing up now. It's just part of it now. It's just like I think more people might read the spoilers than definitely the officials.
Probably.
Yeah.
I know that there are literally people out there that only read the spoilers and never even look at the chapter.
Wild.
Like, and that is, and they've been that way for a long time, and it's just, and then they're, you know, going off, you know, there's something wrong in the spoiler, and it's like, and they're just like, but didn't that happen? And it's just like, what are you talking about? What are you reading? What two piece are you reading?
Wasn't there one that said like GARP got defeated or something like that?
There's been some wild ones that people have sent me after the fact. But I actually think it's time for. All right. Well, actually, before we wrap up, let's talk about this. Do you think we're gonna go right back to Kid and Shanks?
I don't think so. But I said the same thing about Law and Blackbeard, but we actually got that.
That
I
was a
think the
huge
fact
surprise.
Yeah, I didn't think we would actually get a second half of that. But I feel like, especially the fact we ended on break week, it just feels like next chapter is going to start in like floor 2, Egghead. And it's going to be like Sanji with Stussy. And
So my thing is, one thing that I've noticed with this pattern that Oda's been doing where he like goes somewhere else at the end of the chapter. He picks the chapter up where it ended. Like in the Egghead vicinity. So we ended with Egghead in 1076 was them calling to G9 or something that there's 100 ships on the way.
yeah.
So I think that 1077 is definitely going to be like all about the ships. You know, like let's get an update on the Marines. You know, not necessarily 12 chapters of it, 12 pages of it, but you know, we'll see some of the vice admirals that are pulling up. Like,
Maybe
you know,
Smoker.
give me Mamanga, give me Smoker. Like everybody except Yamakaji that was at the Buster call. So we got, let's see, Strawberry. I think would make sense because he also had a tie to Kizaru. So like, you know, we've got him there. Doberman. Yamakaji was turned to stone at Amazon Lily, so I feel like he needs to be like on vacation somewhere. Like they were like, bro, you embarrassed us on Amazon Lily, so like you're not going to this fight. But I also feel like Fujitora needs to get involved in the arc because he's so tied to the SSG. So, and you know, if Smoker is going to turn, Fujitora should turn. And if we start with that, maybe we get some more Kid and Shanks. But I think the next thing that we're going to cut to that's not Egghead or Shanks and Kid, since we just had Vivi and Wapol, I think we're gonna get like some sort of a cross guild update because we just saw Dory and Bragi, so we're like, you know, early Alabasta Saga people are getting, you know, reintroduced into the story. Wapol, Vivi, Dory, Bragi. Let's cut back to Crocodile and Mr. 3 now. And just follow that trend.
Yeah, that could be good.
Strawberry and Jinbei must scrap, said Kev Dog. I agree. I see that. Take it back to the flashback. And that's that. All right, guys. Gonna wrap things up. Any other final words you got, Zack?
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure, bro. Always happy to be back anytime, and I'm sure we'll be cooking up something in the future for sure.
Oh yeah, we'll jump back in the kitchen. Let's see here. Guys, throw the credits on.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.